What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special edition of Rules of Villainy. I am Brad, aka the Mayor of Lorcana, and with me today is a very special guest to talk about a little show from the 90s called Gargoyles. When I heard this property was coming to Disney Lorcana, I couldn't think of a better person to come on and fill us all in on what this show is all about. I missed the window in my childhood, but I've heard nothing but great things then and now about it. So without further ado, what's up, Chip? How are you today?
I'm doing great, and I'm real excited here to talk about one of my favorite subjects and my favorite show.
I tell you what, man, I've only known you through Disney Lorcana. It's been a great 2 years. I met you at Grapes Games, and there's two things that could always be certain going to Grapes Games or running into you. You're either wearing a Gargoyle shirt or a Jasmine shirt, and I was like, Gargoyles was one of those things where I was like, I don't know if they would ever come to this game. And then we saw things in like Into the Inklands where they started doing DuckTales and obscure characters from that or whatever. And I'm like,
oh, yeah, and Tailspin. Like the moment that both DuckTales and Tailspin were in, I was telling my friends, I'm like, guys, it is a matter of when, not if Gargoyles is coming to this game.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I'm so happy for you. As we can see in your background there, you have so many of the collectibles and everything. And I couldn't think of a better person to come on just from your wealth of knowledge, what you've told us all on the league nights at Grapes. You've been to panels specifically to go talk about the history of the show and what it means to you and everything. What was that like? I think you drove up to Minnesota for that.
Yeah. Last year was the 35th anniversary of the show. 30th anniversary of the show. 30th. Last year was the 30th anniversary of the show, and there was a con in Minnesota, which had several of the voice cast and the creator of the show, and I was on one of the panels with him, Culture and Biology of Gargoyles.
Culture and Biology.
Yeah. We basically just discussed the biology of the creatures in the Gargoyles universe, not just the Gargoyles themselves, but other things that I'm not going to spoil.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Very cool. So what is it like, Chip, for Gargoyles to come to this game? What's it feel like after all this time, all the speculation of it not happening? But when now? Are you excited to see your favorite characters in the game? And like, let us know. Yeah.
Yeah. This is what I've wanted since the game began. Like the whole concept of the lore of Lorcana, where you summon your Disney characters from your imagination. If I was pulled into the world of Lorcana, these are the characters I would be pulling out first.
Sure. Absolutely. That's fantastic. Yeah, and that I'm really excited for you as well. To give everybody here who's tuned in today, the purpose of this video is to educate everybody who is unfamiliar with the property, as well as myself, who, like I said in the intro, I missed the window, and I'm hopefully going to make the time before Whispers in the Well drops. But Chip is going to be here. We're going to go through the history of the show to a degree, without spoiling a whole lot, but maybe just kind of, get you interested in the property, see if it's something for you before the cards come here. Then we're actually going to talk about some of the core characters in the show, what colors we think they're going to be, what ink colors they're going to be in the game, maybe speculate on some of the abilities that we might see, and just overall how they fit into the lore of Disney Lorcana. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy that. That being said, Chip, what would you say if somebody asked you, what is Gargoyles?
The best answer for this is actually in the second season's opening narration by the incomparable Keith David, who also voiced Dr. Facilier in Princess and the Frog.
That's right.
And I have a Facilier card signed by him.
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
But the opening narration goes, 1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. It was a time of darkness. It was a world of fear. It was the age of Gargoyles. Stone by day, warriors by night. They were betrayed by the humans they swore to protect, and were frozen in stone by a magic spell for 1,000 years. Now, here in Manhattan, the spell is broken, and they live again.
Wow. Did you read that?
I did not. That was from memory.
Of course not. Of course not. That is fantastic.
I can't do it in Keith David's voice, but
you could try. But yeah, like you said, I think when you brought him up, incomparable Keith David. But yeah, that's Fantastic. What does it mean to you? Why Gargoyles? Why have you invested so much into the property itself? What clicked with it
This
for you when
show
you initially?
is not like any other Disney show that ever came before it or anything that's ever come since. It arrived at a point in time in the 90s when serialized television was just starting to catch on. Like before, every show of any Disney property or almost any cartoon was episodic. Like things didn't matter from one episode to another except in multi-parters.
Sure.
This is a show that had continuity where characters would change and develop and grow over time. I like to tell people Gargoyles and Batman the Animated Series walked so that Avatar The Last Airbender could run.
That was going to be my next question, was how it compared to Batman, because I grew up on Batman, and that's the animated
Those
show
two
that I
shows
go
came
back
out
to.
at the same time, and actually the first season of Batman the Animated Series and Gargoyles had one of the same co-producers, Frank Parr, who was he was the main producer for Gargoyles and was a producer on Batman the Animated Series season 1 before they sniped him and pulled him over to Gargoyles. And he worked with Greg Weisman, the creator of the show, and is actually still working with him on the comics right now.
Oh, interesting. And you're a big collector of the I think there's a big crossover that's happening or that's being announced.
There are two crossovers coming up later this year.
Okay.
This Wednesday, the first of 2 issues of Gargoyles Meets the Fantastic Four
Oh,
is coming out.
That's interesting.
And then in December, the much more silly, but also going to be equally fun, Gargoyles Meets Darkwing Duck is coming out.
Which is also relevant because I think in a couple sets we're expecting to see Darkwing Duck in Disney.
We are seeing Darkwing Duck in Winter Spell in January.
That is incredible. So yeah, just all these cool things.
You know, we need to build a deck based on the comic crossover, obviously.
That's right. We're gonna have our whole Saturday morning animated series deck, by January. It's absolutely insane, and love to see that kind of interaction with. I mean, that's what Disney Lorcana has been so fun about these last 2 years, is just seeing these characters interact from all these different properties and doing fun things. Referencing the source material and all that. Absolutely love embracing the silly, in that regard, like you said, with Darkwing Duck. So
the fun thing about the Darkwing Duck crossover is it's co-written by Greg Weisman, the creator of Gargoyles, and Tad Stone's the creator of Darkwing Duck. It is literally the two creators just riffing off of each other.
That's fantastic. Love to see that kind of stuff come together. Is there anything you want to tell anybody about the Gargoyles as a whole? Like I said, I didn't want to spoil the whole show for the people who are interested in it, but why should somebody watch Gargoyles today?
It's hard to say something that doesn't actually spoil, but I would say that it's
spoilers. It's been
if you like complex drama, if you like dark storytelling, like Shakespearean level villains with complex motivations, large ensemble casts, if you like mythology, if you like comic book villains, if you like, there's something in the show for everyone, basically.
Okay.
You've got a Beauty and the Beast style romance between two of our lead characters. You've got sci-fi technology, you've got ancient sorcery, and you have a buttload of Shakespeare. Like there are Shakespeare references throughout the show, like from beginning to end. I mean that quite literally. Several Shakespearean characters will appear in the show.
Oh, interesting. It's one of those things where like I love the dark thematics. So like I said, I grew up on Batman, and just the just the Gargoyles themselves, like as a whole, not the show, but the Gargoyles are like dark and broody, on castles and stuff and everything. So it's a wonder why I never watched it. But the more that I've been around you and talked to you about it, and as we approach Whispers in the Well, more and more in my mind, I'm like, I should just sit down and watch this. And it can't take too long to binge through. Like they're 20-minute episodes, right? Yeah. So hopefully more people, who haven't.
There are 65 episodes across the first 2 seasons.
Okay.
And then everything after that is in the comics.
How many seasons and comics are there?
Okay.
That's probably a loaded question.
You have opened a can of worms here.
Okay.
There are 2 canon seasons available on Disney Plus. The first season, which was 13 episodes, and the second season, which was 52 episodes. There's a 3rd season on Disney Plus, which you should never watch, ever.
Oh.
And that is called the Goliath Chronicles, and that is because Greg Weisman was removed from the show at the end of the 2nd season, and the new team that came in didn't really have time to familiarize with themselves with the characters, and it tanked in quality.
Okay.
And then in 2005, when Greg Weisman got to do his first set of comics, he just completely ignored that season. So it's not
Yeah.
canon. The
Yeah.
comics are
Interesting.
season 3. And then when those comics came to the end in 2009, in 2022, a new set of comics by Dynamite was picked up, and those are running to this day, and that is our season 4.
Interesting. So they're doing it in a different medium and doing pretty well, it
Yes,
sounds like.
but the story has continued. That's the thing about Gargoyles, is that there's not really a strong status quo. Story changes, characters change, massive changes, sweeping changes happen to the universe all the time, and it's one of the things that makes it so interesting.
Sure. Is there ever a plan to end, or is it something that continued? It could just continue forever.
It could continue. Greg Weisman has stories and plot lines planned out to the year 2198.
Oh,
He has this philosophy where stories don't actually end because life doesn't end. Life goes on. So stories go on.
that's
So
fascinating.
the breadth of the Gargoyles universe is an ongoing story that can go on and on
I love
for
that.
years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Anyway,
Let's start diving into the characters, shall we?
let's absolutely do that. Let's talk about the characters of the Gargoyles world, because that's what we're going to see the most of here at Disney Lorcana. I'm sure we're going to see maybe some items, maybe some locations, but what's going to be probably the bulk of the release of Gargoyles at Disney Lorcana are going to be characters, because as you said, it's an ensemble of characters. We have several of them listed here, and I'm very curious to see who these characters are. Yeah, so let's get into it. Starting with Goliath is who you put down first. Who is Goliath, and
Yes.
what?
Goliath is the leader of the Manhattan and Wyvern clan.
Okay.
They used to be called the Wyvern clan back in 10th century Scotland. Now they're the Manhattan clan.
Okay.
Um, he was, again, voiced by the incomparable Keith David, and was named by the humans who lived in the castle at the time in the 10th century, which kind of gives you an idea of the kind of prejudices that Gargoyles faced back in the day, since he was named after a biblical villain.
Okay.
But he is nothing like the biblical Goliath. He's dark and broody and a little bit stubborn, but he is a kind soul and likes to give people second chances, even when they don't necessarily deserve it. He is most likely going to be steel. I think steel is the most likely color for most of the gargoyles because they're protectors. Like that's the
fair.
nature of that's the nature of gargoyles in general, is that they are protectors. Each clan in the show has something that they protect. Their castle, or Goliath will expand to the city of Manhattan later, but they have a natural protective ability, and I think that bodyguard is going to be something that might pop up on the cards.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you mentioned leader as well. I do agree. It sounds like a very bodyguard type character. We see that a lot of that in steel. We see a lot of it in amber as well. And if I'm looking at the amber descriptors here, it says they're patient, dedicated, and typically a leader in the community. Would you think that there's any chance? I don't look at Goliath and see him as an amber card, so I think steel does fit that better.
I think amber is probably the least likely color for most of the characters.
Most of them. Okay. Just wanted to, I'm looking at the descriptors here and thought when you said leader, that triggered like, well, maybe I should ask about that, because we do see bodyguards there. But again, like you said, gargoyles, it doesn't really feel like an amber ink there. I think I'm with you on that. And steel sounds like a good thing.
I think steel is the most likely color, possibly amethyst, since sometimes amethyst characters are cursed, and they were cursed to be in stone for 1,000 years. But steel is, particularly for Goliath, what I feel is the most likely for him.
I will take your word on that. I'm not gonna fight you on. I'm probably not gonna fight you on any of these, because you, again, if I haven't expressed enough on this video, if I ever have a question about gargoyles, I know Chip has the answer. So I take this as gargoyle gospel when Chip says it. So we'll put down steel for Goliath. Is there any other thoughts on Goliath before we move on?
Nothing leaps readily to mind.
Okay, let's move on to who we have at number 2 as Elisa. Did I say that correctly?
Elisa Maza is Gargoyle's first human ally in modern Manhattan. She's a New York City detective, and that should probably give you an idea right away of what color she is most likely to be. Sapphire, as most detectives are sapphire.
I was leaning sapphire or emerald. Emerald's a flexible color. We have some
Yeah.
detectives in there too, but
But in
sapphire seems
Elisa's
to be the
case, I
one.
think she's most likely to be Sapphire. She's their strongest human ally, their closest human friend, and she is also Goliath's love interest.
Ooh,
They have
okay.
a long-running, slow-burn romance over the course of the first 65 episodes of the show, and even in the comics, they're still moving glacially slow, but they are
Oh my
officially
goodness.
together.
That's good to know. Yeah, sapphire is an intelligent ink color in regards to the traits of all that. I couldn't disagree with you in any capacity on that. Does she have any other traits that we could consider, or are we strong sapphire on her?
I'm very strong on Sapphire and her. I really have a hard time seeing her in any other color.
Okay. All right, we will mark her down. Elisa is sapphire. Moving on, our next one we have Brooklyn.
All right,
Hear about Brooklyn.
Brooklyn is Goliath's second in command. Basically runs the show when he's not around.
Okay.
He's also kind of got the cool, edgy Raphael kind of vibe. He was the one who got all of the fangirls in the 90s, which is ironic
Oh,
because his own love life was really rough for a while.
oh no. Would we
But
say? Would we say
he's got the
Ruby?
widest. Hmm? He's got the
Would we say
widest
Ruby?
array of potential colors, Ruby being one of them, but
Okay.
he's not always so hot-headed despite his, brick red coloring.
Okay.
I would say Steel, Ruby, Emerald, or Sapphire could all fit for Brooklyn.
Do we have any abilities that we expect him to have? Or
It's
maybe
really
that'll
hard for
help.
me to pin
Yeah.
down abilities for what is going to be essentially a new franchise, but if I were to
Yeah.
give him some kind of ability, it might be something to like rearrange the deck. Maybe he has strong connections with time travel.
Oh, interesting. So like, mm, the first thing I went to is
This
like,
is a wild
yeah,
mass guess. I would not be shocked if
yeah, for
anything I
sure.
say here is never going to happen. But
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was like an effect like Vision of the Future or something. Because you
yeah,
said the
I was
time
thinking
travel or
something
whatever.
like
Like,
that too.
yeah, so he could have some kind of like play this card, look at the first top three cards of your deck, or find look for an action or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's no way we could possibly know. Like I think the best shot we have is getting
Brooklyn
together, right?
famously gets a motorcycle in one of the earliest episodes and then blows it up.
Oh,
So that puts you right in the Ruby category there.
yeah. Let's put down. We're gonna put Brooklyn as Ruby. All right. Moving on, we have Broadway. Broadway is the one that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure I know you will. Was he the one that was shown on the Whispers cover when it was revealed? Is that
That is correct. That is who we
okay?
saw in the background on the Whispers cover, barely visible. Broadway is interesting because he's kind of the big eater of the group, uh, voiced by Bill Fagerbakke, who most people will know as Patrick Star from SpongeBob SquarePants.
No, this
But
is Broadway.
exactly.
Yeah.
But Broadway is deeply sensitive, in addition to being the big eater, and also an amateur detective himself. He thinks of
Okay.
himself as an amateur detective. As we see in the comics, he even straight up says that. For Halloween, he dressed in a 1920s trench coat and fedora. He loves old detective movies, so he, like Elisa, is very likely to be in Sapphire, possibly one of the few Ambers as well.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking Sapphire for sure. Is there any chance we can see some dual inks with these gargoyles?
I
Because
don't
I'm
think we're going to
wondering,
see Duel Inks for a while.
no,
Like
as a whole or
we
just
didn't get
with,
any in Fabled. I suspect that they're gonna like hold back on them for a while, sort of like the Sing Together songs got held back for a while.
Fable though is an interesting one because they did 170 something reprints, right? So and
That's
the
fair.
Dual Inks just came out 2 sets ago. So out of the 33 new cards that we got, did we get any Dual Inks? I guess we didn't, did we?
Nope, we did not.
Yeah, we didn't. So I don't think it's something that's left in the past. I think that
I
this
don't think
set
it's
was
going for.
yeah,
I don't think it's going forever. But if you
yeah.
recall, when we got the Sing Together cards at Ursula's return, we didn't get any more Sing Together cards for like 3 or 4 more sets.
Sure.
Like they introduced that mechanic and then they left it alone for like 3 sets.
It
And
was
then
like
they
a
brought it back again.
set quirk,
I think that's
Yeah,
going to
okay.
happen again with the dual inks. So I don't think
Interesting.
for Whispers anyway that we're going to see any dual inks.
We're gonna see any duelings. If we did, would we consider Broadway being like a sapphire amethyst? You said he's emotional, right? Or
He's
did
he's
I mishear you?
sensitive.
I'm looking at
Sapphire
like
Amber
losing
is
control, quirk.
possible. I would,
Yeah.
as I said, most of the gargoyles I feel are most likely to be steel. So if they're going to dual
Okay.
ink, they're going to be part steel, part something else. And Sapphire Steel seems the logical route for Broadway. He
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
Elisa also have a very strong friendship that was forged by a traumatic event in early season 1. And I would say, besides her romantic partner of Goliath, Broadway is the human that Elisa's closest to.
Okay. All right then. We will keep him down. I think we're going to leave him at sapphire, right? Sapphire,
Yeah.
possibly steel. Okay. I'll write down both here. And moving on from Broadway, we have Lexington. Lexington is he really small? In the image I'm looking at, is he smaller than
Yes,
the rest of
he's
them?
smaller than most of the rest of the clan.
Okay.
He also has a unique wing design. He is sort of the tinkerer, adventurer, inventor of the group. Like when he awoke in the modern era, he became really fascinated by modern technology, which means once again, Sapphire.
Another sapphire gargoyle. So would you say he's like the Donatello of the gargoyles?
I would
And
say he's like the Donatello, although he's not going to be building any interdimensional portals. Most of the technology that he tinkers with is still within the realm of possibility.
okay. Yeah,
Like
sapphire
he likes to
sounds
work with computers. He does work with cybernetics sometimes, but he likes to tinker. He likes to invent things. He's very intelligent. And one of the interesting things about him that Greg Weisman could not openly state back in the 90s, but has been able to openly state very clearly in the comics since then, is that Lexington is gay.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'd love that.
In the 90s, they would never have let him get away with that, but they always,
100%.
had it under
Yeah.
their in the back of their mind when they were writing the character. And also his voice actor, Tom Adcox Hernandez, is also gay.
Oh, good.
But in the modern comics, they've been outright, Disney's been okay with it. They've been able to say it outright, openly, and he is currently dating a gargoyle from the London clan.
Oh, great. That's awesome. I love seeing that. Or I haven't seen it yet. I love hearing that. But all right, yeah. So we're going on sapphire as the pick.
Oh yeah,
there.
pure sapphire. I can't
Pure
see him in any other
sapphire,
color.
no duels, nothing else. Yeah. All right.
Maybe emerald, maybe, but like remote chance. But yeah, sapphire. He's an inventor.
Emerald's one of the ones that can. It's like, again, it's the flexible trade. It can be.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of everything in it. So, that's kind of the easy pick on any of these gargoyles. If you want, well, maybe not. Maybe not. You could tell me otherwise. All right. So Lexington, we got him down as sapphire. We are moving on to Hudson.
Now Hudson is the oldest of the survivors of the Wyvern Clan massacre. He was the leader of the Wyvern Clan before Goliath. He was Goliath's mentor. He's probably one of the only characters that I would pick for Amber just straight off the bat.
Why's that?
He's just who the characters go to for advice, and he's got a lot of those leadership qualities you were bringing up earlier. That is all about Amber. Goliath trusts him implicitly. When he was choosing his second in command, his first choice was Hudson, and Hudson was like, "No, you were my second in command. We don't go backwards. Pick one of the younger ones." He was voiced by the late great Ed Asner, who you might also know from Up.
Yep, Mr. Fredrickson.
Yep. Only Ed Asner did it in a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
Hudson is very much set in his ways. He doesn't like to go into battle very often. While most gargoyles, when they do go into battle, they'll use their claws. Hudson uses a sword just because he's a little bit older. He doesn't want to,
Yeah.
He needs a little assistance.
Why put my hands at risk when I can just, swing a sword?
Yeah.
I would do that as well. Why not? Yeah. So I think I agree with you there. Amber sounds like a good one.
Yes, and also once again steel. He would also be pretty good in steel.
Steel. Okay. Put Amber Steel. Possible dual link? Maybe not. All right. Up next we have Bronx.
All
So
right, Bronx is interesting. There are actually two gargoyle species in the show. There's the winged gargoyles that we see, and there are also what are known as gargoyle beasts. They're closely related species that gargoyles domesticated. They turn to stone just like during the day, just like gargoyles do, but they're more animalistic.
yeah, I noticed that. The first thing
Pets,
I did when I picked up
attack
his
dogs.
photo was like, this is widely different than everybody else that I'm looking at here. So he's, like
Yeah,
you
he's
said,
a
more of a
gargoyle
beast.
beast. He doesn't speak. He absolutely hates pigeons. Um,
I never thought about the annoyance that they would have with as a whole as gargoyles with just pigeons, something as mundane as pigeons who probably just sit on them all day and annoy them, right? Is that why? Or
well, when they're stoned, they're basically asleep. So they're not
okay.
going to notice, but they're going to wake up in the evening and they're going to notice then. And Bronx is the one who is most annoyed. He hates
Okay.
pigeons.
That sounds like there's a
That's
lot
in
of
the
comedy
original
there.
series Bible. But
Okay.
he's basically a dog. I mean, he's a little more intelligent than your average, mutt, but
Sure.
uh one of the recurring things in the show is that if you wanted to know who to trust, you see how Bronx is reacting to them. They'll
Oh,
he's the one who can sniff out the bad guys easiest, especially if they're in disguise. He knows when something's wrong, and if you're not paying attention to him growling at somebody, uh it could cost you.
interesting. What would we think that he would fit into with that? Are we just
That is
gonna
an
default?
interesting question. I
Yeah.
think it could fit into almost any ink, honestly.
Yeah, it must. It's one of those things. I wonder if it depends solely on what ability they give him, if they give him one at all, right? Because there's a lot of things that the inks have their own identity as to what they do. Uh, but if he's like a guard, like again, like you said, he's like a guard dog, or he gets sniff out trouble. We see, the first thing that comes to my mind is the good boy Pluto, the bodyguard Pluto and Steel, which again I feel like
Yep.
we're at this point we're just defaulting to Steel on all of these. So I'm trying to
Steel
trying to
seems
find a
like a
way.
really good default here.
Yeah, I'm trying not to lump them all into Steel and find ways to pick other ones, but I feel like based on how you described him, again, no prior knowledge whatsoever, that sounds like a good Steel card. I want to say Emerald for some reason, but I don't have a flexible and street smart. Is something I'm looking at right here, where maybe he senses that danger, like you said. I don't know. I'm gonna go with you and say Steel. It seems like an easy answer, but yeah.
All right, now we're going to talk about probably the most marketable character, or at least the one that Disney likes to market the most.
The one you mean that's on the packies that we know from the
Yes,
reveal a couple weeks ago?
yes,
That is Demona. Did I say that correctly?
that is correct.
It's
Demona.
not
She was
Demona.
also named in the 10th century, which once again gives you an idea about how humans tend to feel about gargoyles. Now, Demona used to be Goliath's mate,
Okay.
but they had a falling out basically in the pilot.
So that establishes like the conflict of characters there. Probably right. Is it
Yeah, something
ongoing?
like
Is
that.
she?
Here's the
Let me ask
thing:
this real quick. Is she
Demona was deeply involved in the betrayal of the castle.
okay? Can I? Is it fair to ask or fair to say that she's the main antagonist of the entire series?
Yo, yes, she is
Okay.
definitely the big bad, the major villain of the series. Here's the
Okay.
thing about Demona: when the rest of the clan was put into their stone sleep spell and slept for the 1,000 years,
Uh-huh.
Demona didn't.
Oh.
She was granted immortality, which I will bring up the reasons why she's immortal later.
Okay.
But she was immortal. She was awake. She was alive for the 1,000 years. She's seen the worst of humanity,
Okay.
and she hates us.
Oh, that's deep. Yeah, like imagine sleeping for 1,000 years and one of your friend comrades or one of your kin, I guess,
Your ex-lover.
like your
She was
ex-lover
Goliath's.
even. I was saying it as a whole, but yeah. Wow. The things that she could do for 1,000 years, the things that she sees and the things that, there's the way that she could shape the world for 1,000 years, being immortal, and then to wake up and see what she's done. And I don't know what she's done or anything or anything in the context of the Gargoyles universe. That
It's
seems like a
not
very
great. She's
yeah, but it's a great concept for an antagonistic figure. I think that's actually really interesting to me.
There's a reason why she's also one of the most popular characters in the series. You'll see a lot of people trying to defend her point of view, and they're not always 100% wrong because
It's just
she
like
has suffered through some serious shit. But also, her own worst enemy is herself. Half of half of her problems are of her own making. That's what makes her so rich and complex, and why she is
sure.
one of the most beloved characters in the franchise. And I absolutely just love to hate her.
Yeah, she sounds fascinating, and she's, I think, out of all the characters that we're looking at or that we've seen so far and that we're going to see here in the next, several minutes of the show, she's the most interesting looking too. I feel like they put a lot of work into her design as well. And why you said that she's marketable, she's on the promotional material as we saw on one of the pack arts or whatever.
She has gotten
And when
her
you
own mini-series in the comics
oh,
recently. Gargoyles
okay.
Demona, a 5-issue mini-series. We're about 3 issues into it right now, with 2 left. That has basically been exploring her history in the early 11th and 12th centuries. What she was doing during those periods of times.
Wow. Yeah, the more we talk, especially now, like I can see why they market
She's
her,
a
why people
very
love
deep.
her or love to hate her. Like I'm more interested now talking just about the few minutes we've talked about her in watching the show than I was. I mean, than I already was. And the whole concept of the 1,000 years of being awake while everybody else is asleep and see like that just kind of blew my mind a little bit. So
She is a deep,
yeah,
rich, complex Shakespearean style villain. She's not entirely wrong, but she's not entirely right. He
yeah,
is
it's like a
Demona,
Thanos
and
situation, right?
she's what I think she's what made the show so memorable.
Interesting. I believe it without having seen it. I
She
absolutely
is
believe it.
also a practicing sorceress and has been trained in sorcery since the 10th century. So that puts her
That's
squarely in Amethyst.
that. Yeah. That, as soon as you said sorcerer, I was like, that's clearly amethyst.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
She's even
what?
got a purple glow around her on the card pack. But she's almost
Oh,
certainly going to be
yeah. She's
Amethyst.
holding like a book, right? Also, it's like the
She's not
sorcerer's
just
stone.
holding a book. The book she
Oh,
is holding is a Grimorum Arcanorum, the most powerful spell book in the Gargoyles universe.
okay.
It
Well, now
was
I have to ask you that book's coming to Disney Lorcana, right?
it could.
If she's holding it in the promotional art, like then I feel like
The
I
three
said
most
earlier, like
powerful
we're probably looking at items and locations too. Like then that's the first one I've heard of that's like that has to be in the game.
I'll bring it up right now. There are the 3 most powerful items in the Gargoyles universe are known as the 3 keys to power. They are the Grimorum Arcanorum, the most powerful spellbook ever written. It's been penned by multiple sorcerers, including an ancient Roman Magus and Merlin. The Eye of Odin, which is the god Odin's literal eye, the one he gave up for wisdom.
Okay.
And the Phoenix Gate, which is a talisman that allows you to travel through time.
Interesting.
If any cards become items, it's going
Those
to be
three.
those 3. They're
Okay.
known collectively as the 3 keys to power, and anybody who actually manages to get a hold of all 3 of them is probably one of the most powerful beings in the Gargoyles universe. A lot of evil sorcerers have tried to collect them over the years.
Can you imagine Madam Mim having all 3 of those?
I'm terrified of Demona having all 3 of
Yeah,
those.
I'm just imagining the
Spoilers for
possibilities.
some of the comics events.
I'm just imagining in the Disney Lorcana world, the sorcerers who exist in there and having that kind of power is actually really scary. Like, yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, good to hear about those. We decided on Amethyst for her. All right. I feel like we did Demona enough justice, and we'll probably be talking about her quite a bit as the game begins to come out. So let's move on. We got a couple more here on the main line here before we kind of lightning round a few obscure characters. We have Xanatos here after
All
Demona.
right.
Tell me about him.
David Xanatos is probably the second most interesting villain after Demona. He
Okay.
is the rich billionaire who basically broke the spell and woke the gargoyles back up. The conditions of the spell that they were trapped under were that they would sleep until their castle rises above the clouds. So he bought the castle and moved it on top of his skyscraper in New York. He's that rich.
Wow. He moved a castle on top of a skyscraper.
Yep.
That's
And that would fulfill the
fascinating.
conditions to break the spell. And that's why they're awake. And he basically feels like he owns them now.
but he doesn't.
And of course, they're not keen on that. But the thing about Xanatos is he's one of the most intelligent villains ever to be put to fiction. He almost never loses because he's got plans within plans. There's even a TV trope named after him called the Xanatos Gambit. Even when the good guys think they've won, really they just were distracted while Xanatos got away with what he really wanted.
Interesting.
He's not flawless. He's lost a couple of times. But most of the time he gets exactly what he wanted. Even by the end of the series, he has gotten exactly what he wanted. I don't want to spoil what's happened, but basically by the end of episode 65, he's more or less won. But he's also not interested in world domination. He likes the system we're under now. He can get by. He is smarmy, he's intelligent.
I think he's a Ruby character, right? You keep saying intelligent, which is clearly Sapphire.
I think he's Ruby? Sapphire.
You think he's Sapphire still? Yeah, okay.
He's kind of a chess master. Quite literally, sometimes he and his wife have played chess using the main characters as their pieces.
Oh my gosh. Would you
he'd be Sapphire for sure.
Sapphire for sure. Okay. All right. We'll lock in intelligent, excels at strategy, inventive at struggle to start without a plan is the description I'm looking at for Sapphire there. I was looking at Ruby just for the usually it's a rush into things with little regard to odds because they're confident in their skills, but
the thing is that he does not do things uncalculated. He's not the rush into things blind kind of guy. He has plans within plans, and he's all about the plans.
Right. Then we'll lock in Sapphire. I feel like we got a pretty strong we got a pretty strong base here with Sapphire, Steel, and the Gargoyles or whatever. Or with the Gargoyles and the humans. So with that being said, we have one more person or one more is she a gargoyle? I don't have a picture of her in front of me. Angela is a gargoyle. Is the last one we have here.
Yes. Angela came late to the show. She appeared midway through season 2. You remember how I mentioned that Goliath and Demona used to be lovers?
Uh-oh. I do.
They had an egg.
Oh, interesting.
When Goliath
they laid eggs.
Yes. Yeah. Gargoyles lay eggs.
Okay.
When Goliath went into his cursed stone sleep, he asked the few remaining humans at the castle to take care of the clan's eggs because most of the clan was already gone. And they did. And they snuck those eggs away to the mystical island of Avalon and raised them. And one of those eggs was Angela, who is Goliath and Demona's biological daughter. She looks a lot like her mother, but she's got her father's coloring.
Yeah. My question to you is going to be now, being the offspring of both our main character on the good guys and then the main antagonist of the show, where does Angela's morals lie? Does she lean any certain way?
Is distinctly in her father's camp. She was raised by humans, so she does not hate them the way that her mother does. But she is as clever and as ruthless sometimes as her mother. She's got a lot of her mom in her.
Okay.
She is basically the product of both of her children. And as I mentioned, she was raised on the mystical island of Avalon, where time passes more slowly, which is why she was still alive in the present day.
Okay.
And she is probably the only other character of the leads that I would put under Amethyst.
That's because
she was raised on a magical island.
Yeah,
she doesn't have any inherent sorcery skills of her own as of yet, although she may have inherited some from her mother. But she was raised on a magical island. She feels Amethyst to me. The only other one of the main characters who feels Amethyst to me.
Perfect. All right. So at the end of the main list of characters we have here, we have 2 Amethysts. We have, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 Sapphire. And then the rest of them are, or no, we had 1 Amber as well with Hudson, and then the rest being Steel. Does that sound right to you?
That sounds about right to me, or that's where I would guess. I could be completely wrong. They could throw me for a curveball.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to be wrong and to see because we're not taking into account the abilities that they could have that would
Yeah.
maybe solidify them into another color just based on the traits alone that you as you've described them. I think that they all sound pretty good in the colors that we've put them. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what abilities that they might have that might change sway us into another color, and hopefully we start seeing that here in the next several weeks as we lead up to Whispers in the Well. Do you have any final thoughts on the main cast there that we addressed? Anything you want to say? I
That
feel
is
like
the
we talked quite a
main.
bit.
Only that this is the main cast as of the show at the end of the 65 episodes. In the
Okay.
comics, more characters joined the main cast. Brooklyn came home with a wife, basically.
Oh,
We're not bringing her up because she's relatively new to the franchise, but
yeah. But we've seen
she's
them
not
bring
in
in
here.
some.
She's very unlikely to get a card, at least
Would you
as
have
of right
said,
now.
would you have said that about? I always forget his name. The Tim Curry's character from Tailspin.
Thaddeus
You would,
Clang.
yeah, Thaddeus
Uh,
Clang. There could be some obscure characters.
there could be some obscure characters, and I will bring up at least one comic
Yeah.
character as we dive into the obscure characters. But no, I don't think that Brooklyn's mate Katana is likely to show up. If she would,
Okay.
she'd be pure steel.
Pure steel. Okay. Well, let's dive into the ones that you think we might see. We have a list of 4 of them here, starting with MacBeth. Tell me about MacBeth.
All right, MacBeth is a historical king of
Okay.
Scotland, uh, late 10th century, early 11th century. Also of Shakespeare's famous play. Although, if you've actually studied the historical Macbeth and Shakespeare's Macbeth, they're not a lot alike. Shakespeare was buttering up to the King of England at the time, who is a relative of Macbeth's enemies.
Okay.
But the historical Macbeth is more of the basis of our character Macbeth, and he too is immortal. He's actually magically bonded to Demona.
Bonded to
They have
Demona.
a curse upon them, basically. They are the source of each other's immortality, and they are also the only way that they can die. Only Macbeth is capable of killing Demona, and only Demona is capable of killing Macbeth. And when it happens, they both die.
That's fascinating. And the idea of that, wow, there could be a combination in Disney Lorcana where, like we've seen cards like Scar say, like, when you play this character, banish Mufasa. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, Scar doesn't get banished with him. So uh, I like that idea of just like a random. I mean, it could be effective because who knows how powerful the Demona or Macbeth could be, that they could counter one another and have some kind of ability like that or anything.
Demona, or Macbeth, is voiced by John Rhys Davies, who
Oh,
you might know
really?
as Gimli, yes.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, and he actually has a very strong sense of honor. But he's also been around for 1,000 years, and he's tired of it.
Yeah, I would
It's
be
been a
too.
very long and lonely existence for him. He's lost most of the people he
Chip,
loves, and he
I-
blames Demona.
Chip, I've been around for 38 years and I'm tired of it. Can you imagine 1,000? Like, come
Hmm.
on.
He has a
All
strong
right. Do you
sense
have
of honor. He's one of the few bad guys who would never attack a gargoyle while they were still stone. He would rather take them on in hand-to-hand combat. He's also one of the few humans who actually can win against a gargoyle in hand-to-hand combat. And over
interesting?
the years, he's also trained himself in a little bit of sorcery. So I'd put him
Yeah.
in amber, or amethyst, I mean.
Amethyst. Yeah. Especially if we think Demona's going to be there as well. And they're like the counter, to one another. That I feel like that makes
Yeah.
sense. How
And of
about
course, he'd also get the
Coldstone?
king moniker because he is an
Oh,
ancient
yeah.
Scottish
Yeah.
king.
Sure. Why not? Throw that on there as well as Gargoyle. How about Coldstone Creamery?
Coldstone is an odd duck. He's definitely going to be an ally, for one.
Okay.
One of the final plans of the first season that Demona and Xanatos did is they combined science and sorcery to make basically a Frankenstein's cyborg zombie gargoyle.
That's a lot of words there.
Yes. They took some pieces of a gargoyle who was smashed in the Wyvern Massacre, sewed them up with cybernetic parts, and brought him back to life using sorcery. And he's
Wow.
Goliath's brother, rookery brother, not biological, but gargoyles don't see each other in terms of biology
Like
most of the time.
siblings. Sure.
Their clan is their family.
Yeah.
But Coldstone was raised in the same egg generation as Goliath. They're brothers. He's as strong as Goliath, but he is also stubborn, and as we've learned in the comics recently, kind of racist against humans.
Oh, well, I mean,
Not as bad as
don't love.
Demona, but also not
Yeah,
not in a great way.
yeah.
Um, Sometimes he's been Goliath's ally, sometimes he's been his enemy, and as we learned in middle of season 2, he's actually gotten the souls of several gargoyles stuck inside of his head, not just one. So he'd definitely firmly be ally rather
Ally.
than
Yeah.
hero or villain, because
We'll
you
fit
don't
him.
know exactly where he's going to be, and he's probably going to be Steel. I know we
Yeah,
keep bringing up
right
Steel,
into
but
my Sapphire Seal allies deck. It sounds like is where he'll go.
I would love that.
Yeah.
But Steel, just in general, Steel already has been associated with gargoyles several times throughout the show. Xanatos
Yeah.
made a robot army of gargoyles called the Steel Clan.
Yeah. And you had a great tweet a while back too about we had the beast relentless, not relentless, what was I forget the title of the beast in the Rise of the Floodborn that already looks like a gargoyle, that I can't think of his name, something recluse, but it would be fun if they errated him to be a gargoyle.
Yeah, similar to the
You
Honey
know,
Wizard.
yeah, the honey, yeah. Wait, the honey was. What do you mean? Oh, the honey. Okay. I
Yeah,
was like, honey wizard's
yeah.
not a gargoyle. What are you
The
talking
poo.
about?
No, the poo Honey Wizard who got a new category
Keyword.
which nobody else
Yeah.
has right now. But
Yeah.
yes, Beast Forbidding Recluse is the name of the card.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh the next character, this one's much less likely. This is Dump Truck Thaddeus Clang territory, but Griff.
Like Sir
Griff is
Griff.
my
Is that like you? Is that
Griff
where
is
you get your name from?
it is indeed. He is my personal favorite character in the show.
Okay.
Griff is a London gargoyle from 1940s, who was bounced forward from the 40s to the 90s using the power of the Phoenix Gate, which I mentioned earlier. But he fought in World War II. He's one of the London clan of gargoyles because as the show went on, Goliath learned that they were not the last of their kind after all. There were still enclaves of gargoyles all over the world, including one in London. All the gargoyles in London look like heraldic beasts, like griffins and winged lions and winged unicorns and such, which is where Griff gets his name. He looks like a griffin, and he fought in World War II. So, he's a griffin who fights Nazis. That's badass.
Yeah. Let's get that in there.
After he was bounced forward to the 1940s, he would then go on to encounter reawakened King Arthur. And King Arthur would choose him to become one of his knights.
Oh.
So, in addition to being, a gargoyle from the 1940s who fought Nazis, he is also one of the first new Knights of the Round Table.
Wow.
Thus, Sir Griff.
Sir Griff. That makes so much sense now. For those of you unaware, I've been playing Lorcana with Chip weekly at our leagues here in St. Louis, and his melee name was Sir Griff, and I never questioned it. I never asked why. I just assumed it was just a username. But now I get it. It's of course it's gargoyles. I should have put that together immediately. That's incredible. 2 years later, something finally clicks.
So Griff would also have the knight category, which is a category in the game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is why I brought him up. He might have some kind of support ability attached to maybe kings. It would also be really interesting to tie in the Gargoyles King Arthur with, I don't know, the Arthur from Sword in the Stone somehow.
Yeah. You mentioned
Just,
Merlin
make them
earlier
related.
too. Yeah, I was like, we already have
there's a
Merlin in the game.
Gargoyles version of Merlin. There's a Gargoyles
Yeah.
version of King Arthur. They're not the same as the Sword in the Stone versions of the characters.
Yeah.
But it, might be interesting to tie them in together. Maybe make a King Arthur from Gargoyles Floodborn that can shift on top of Arthur or something like that.
That would be really cool.
I mean, that's an out there, probably not going to happen kind of thing, but
yeah. But who knows what could happen? There's so many cool combos and stuff you could do in this game, and I know Ravensburger's been really, fun with their silly things like the green stitch and the amber, or the emerald stitch and the amber, and the
pirate stitch
and all the funny things that they do. And maybe they'll have some kind of funny mechanic like that. Who knows? We got one more character here that we wanted to touch on the list here named Shari. Who's Shari?
Shari is a character who was introduced in the comics very early on, and she was very mysterious when we first met her, and then as the comics have expanded from both the original run in 2005 to 2009 and the more recent stuff, it has become very, very clear who exactly Shari is. Shari is an immortal version of Scheherazade the storyteller.
Oh,
And
who's
she
that?
is from
I don't
A
know.
Thousand and One Night. You heard of A Thousand and One Nights?
Nope.
The Arabian Nights?
Nope.
Bruh.
You don't know
I mean,
anything about? Okay.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, I
Well,
guess.
Aladdin.
Well, yeah,
Aladdin is
I've
one of
heard
the
the name.
Thousand and One Nights. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Scheherazade. Okay. I guess we'll
Okay.
dive
Wait.
into the.
Wait. I do know. I don't know the story, like everything, but like Jeannie talks about it in Friend Like Me, right?
Yes, he
Yeah. Yeah.
mentions Scheherazade in Friend Like Me.
Okay. Yeah.
Scheherazade was the one who told the Thousand and One Nights. The story goes that a mad king was marrying a woman every night and then beheading her the next morning.
Oh.
And Scheherazade volunteered to be married to him and then started telling him a story, but didn't finish it by the time the sun rose. And the king spared her life so that he could hear the end of the story. And she kept this going for 1,001 nights. And the king slowly fell in love with her and lost his murderous rage. That's the
Wow.
baseline story of 1,001 Nights. That's where all of that comes from. Aladdin is one of the
Yeah.
stories of the one of the many stories of the 1,001 Nights. Also, Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves.
I'm here to learn, Chip. If you don't know this about me after 2 years of playing Lorcana with me, I'm kind of a moron. So
This is mythology. This is literature and history. Scheherazade was not a real person. She was a fictional character from 1,001 Nights. But
Yeah.
in the Gargoyles universe, Shari is Scheherazade, and she's still alive.
Oh, wow.
She's still telling stories. That's how we eventually figured it out. Because as the character was introduced, she just started telling more stories about obscure things in the Gargoyle universe, things that she couldn't possibly know about, but she does. She's somehow immortal. I know how she's immortal, but I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. But she's an
Sure.
immortal storytelling Scheherazade, and she would definitely be Amethyst.
Amethyst. All right, our third or fourth.
She also
Amethyst
has
here.
a sort of mystical ability that when she tells her stories, those who are listening become enraptured, ignoring everything around them.
Interesting. Wow.
And is she a villain or is she a hero? It's really not clear even at this point.
Interesting. Well, that's a lot of information to take in. We went through how many characters here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 different gargoyle and human characters from the Gargoyles show. Man, I'm still hung up on Demona.
And we're not even scratching the surface. Like I said, it was
know,
a
that's
massive
why
ensemble cast.
I know you could talk about it all night. Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of time today to do that. But I'm very curious to see, where the game takes the characters that we expect to see or that you expect to see, and the who might pop up, what might pop up that we didn't talk about today. Are there any final thoughts that you wanna give about just the Gargoyles in general to the people listening?
Just check out the Gargoyles meets the Fantastic Four this week. Check out Gargoyles meets Darkwing Duck in December.
Yeah.
And look forward to seeing what we get in Whispers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. All right, this has been a lot of fun, Chip. Where can they find you?
At Gargoyle Glimmer on Twitter.
Gargoyle Glimmers on Twitter. It's a great follow. Please check that out for any and all Gargoyles information. You can rely on Chip to get that to you. Me, of course, I am Brad here at Rules of Villainy on all of the socials, along with Vince and Andy and Kirsten. We're doing all kinds of fun things. Please, if you like this kind of content, hit the like, subscribe, the bell for notifications for any kind of Rules of Villainy content here on YouTube, or interact with us on the socials at Rules of Villainy. And we will see you in Whispers in the Well.